Buddy, this is Todd Olthoff from toddolthoff.com coming back at you with another screencast. And today we're going to continue our series in Lion Server, and we're going to talk about VPN. Now, VPN is a virtual private network. That's what it stands for. And what it does is it allows you the ability to log into your server from a remote location and appear as if you're on your server. So what it does is it creates a secure connection between your remote machine through the internet, tunnels into your server on your computer, and that's a secure connection that no one can get in on, and no one can take the packets and things that are sent back and forth. So it creates kind of a security protocol. And like I said, it also makes it appear as if you're on your local network. So instead of having to use maybe AFP or some of these other things to get to files and things on your server stuff will actually show in the Finder on the sidebar, and you can log into your server, you can use the folders and files from there. It works out really well, and you don't have to go with an AFP connect to server setting to get into those things. So it really works out nicely. It works not only with your Macs, but it'll also work with your iOS devices as well. So let's talk about what it looks like to set that up so you get a feel for it. So if you see here, we're in the VPN pane. I've already got this running. So I'll walk you through how I got that set up. You'll notice again the green bar in the side over here means that that service is up and running. Now, in the settings area here, again, the big on-off button, and you can see we have configure VPN 4, and you notice these two different protocols. You can do L2TP by itself, or you can do L2TP and PPTP. Now, I know I'm saying a lot of letters there. Let me just explain what each of those are. The L2TP stands for Layer 2 Tunneling Protocol. That's what that stands for. And that's the more up-to-date, modern version of VPN, and it's more secure than the older protocol, which is the PPTP, which stands for Point-to-Point Tunneling Protocol. And so both of these, you can have them function together, or you can just use the newer protocol. It's up to you. I've just have them functioning together for the purposes of trying this out, but you really, if you want to use L2TP, that's probably plenty for a home user. You don't need the other protocol at all, but now they're available. In older versions of Lion Server, you only had the one to choose from, but now you can use both of them, so they're there for you. It's up to you on how you want to configure it, but like I said, L2TP should be plenty for you. Now you'll also notice below here we have a shared secret. Alright, now the shared secret basically is an extra layer of protection that tells the server and the device you're connecting to that yes, that is the device I want to connect to, and they're safe to talk to one another. Now as you set up this shared secret, and you'll notice we have a box here that allows you to show your shared secret and all of that. But as you type your shared secret in, what you want to make sure is this. It comes with a default shared secret when you launch Lion Server. But that default shared secret causes problems because the VPN connection doesn't like things like punctuation and those kinds of things. So if you have quotes or you've got apostrophes and things like that in there, it has some problems with that and doesn't work so well. So you want to create your own shared secret and type something in there. Now, because these shared secrets are stored in encrypted files, one file is on your server and one file is on your remote device, you're not going to have to keep putting these in over and over again. So this isn't one you necessarily are going to have to remember when you log into your VPN. So if it's something that's more complex or whatever, that's fine. You will have to put it in once, but after that you won't have to do it again. Now, there are various things where people have had problems with VPN where it tweaks a little bit and they're wondering. Some people say, well, you got to have a shared secret that's somewhere between 5 and 8 characters, and that works for them. Or they'll say no more than 11 characters. Somewhere in that range. You want to try to keep it within that range in terms of characters. You can try others, but VPN can be a little finicky. So if you're finding it's not working right away for you, you might want to try some of those things just to adjust it for you. Alright, so that's the shared secret piece that you put in. Now, this part is kind of an important part to take a look at, and that's your client addresses. Now, what happens with VPN is you get 2 IP numbers when you log in with VPN. You get your local network number, because again, it sees that remote device as if it's on your local network, and you also get a VPN IP address because it's got to have that to connect to the internet and through to your server. So what we have to make sure is that the IP addresses don't overlap with one another, or otherwise now the server doesn't know which one's VPN and which one's your local server. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to click this edit button here, and you'll see a drop down that allows you to assign a certain number of VPN addresses. Now mine says 31 on here. That's probably a little high. The reason it says 31 is because I've got these two services functioning at the same time together, and I can slide this and allocate how many addresses I want for each one. You probably don't need something that high. You can go with a lower number, but this really doesn't matter. It's not going to mess you up too much one way or the other. Now this is the most important part right here, and that's what is your starting IP address number going to be. Notice if I hover over that, it'll tell me which numbers are going to be for L2TP and which ones will be for the PPTP. And so that shows how it's going to allocate these numbers so that they don't overlap with one another. One will start and one will end at the other point. But what this number is important because you want to make sure this is a number that no other item in your network is going to be given by your DHCP protocol. So let me show you what I mean by that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up Airport Utility here for a second. And if you remember when we configured Airport Utility, one of the things we did was we said DHCP and NAT, and we had the DHCP range that we set up. And if you'll notice here, I've got it set up for 0.2 to 191, right? That's where I've got that set up. Well, what you want to do is make sure that whatever you put in here as a number is not overlapping with this range right here. So it's got to be higher than 191 if it's going to work. It can't be within that. So setting it at 224 is a safe range. That's like way outside the range. There's no way I'm going to confuse that. Was it 92? Was it 91? It gives me a safe range in which to do this and get this set up. All right, so when you're setting that up, you want to go ahead and put a starting point there. Lion Server a lot of times will help you by filling some of that out for you, but just so that you got it there, it's a good idea to take a look at it. I'm just going to move this down here for a second. So let's go back to the server. I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, I'm just going to cancel and just leave it alone the way that I have it. Now, you'll notice the next setting is client DNS information. Okay, now let me just click edit on that to show you that what happens is these are the name servers and search domains that will be applied to your clients. And so the name servers that you want is whatever's giving out your addresses, your DHCP. And so here I've got the IP address of my server, which is the one that's handling the DNS, put in there. And like I said, it should put that in by default for you based on the configuration we had done before on Airport Utility, where we configured your server address right here, and we also did the DNS when we did it on the internet piece, right, where we said your primary DNS server was this. All right, so that will allow you to have that set up properly. You can also come in here and you can put in any search domains that you want to have to connected clients if you want to add any particulars in there or other name servers. Again, the name servers are just what hands out an IP address to the clients on your network. So pretty much if you just have this up here, you're probably good to go. This is a little bit more advanced if you want to control it, but for home users, you just want to make sure that it's getting the right DNS so that everybody connects okay. All right, so I'm going to cancel that and leave that alone. And then you'll notice finally on here we've got Save Configuration Profile. Now what this does is if I click this, what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to save a file, right? And you can see it says VPN Mobile Config. And what that's going to do is that's going to give me a file that connects to whatever my server host is, that I can take that file and I can just install it on all of my client machines. You know, I can email it to somebody, they can just click on it to install it, and it will automatically configure their VPN on their machines. All right, that's what that does. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do this, I just wanted to show that you could do this, because I'm going to show you how to do it manually just so you understand everything that it's putting into the machine, so that when you configure your VPN, if you have to troubleshoot, you know where to go to get things and where to go to set those things up. All right, so that's how that works for us on the server. And so once you get this set up, you toggle the on switch, wait for the spinning gear to finish, wait for the green light to show up on the side, and you know now that you have your VPN service active. Okay, one more thing that we want to make sure that we have set up so that our VPN can work, we've got everything running, it was set, is we want to check to make sure that we have the right ports opened on our router so that the service can operate and work. So remember, if you have an Airport Extreme base station, it's connected to your server and it's operating it, it will probably come up and tell you, hey, okay, you got the service started, I need to open these ports. If it doesn't for some reason, if you don't have VPN and public services, if it doesn't offer to do it, just come in here, click the plus button, look on the drop down for VPN, which I've already done because it's on there, and then just click on it to add it. click add, and then what will happen is the router will restart and add the service and open up the ports that you need. Now for those of you that aren't using an Airport Extreme, you're wondering, okay, well, which ports do I use? Let me just come back here to the airport utility and come on here to your network tab. And if we go down, if I go down here in the port mapping, I just want to show you what those particular areas are here so that you can see. These are the ports you need to open. So for L2TP, you need to open 500, 1700, and 4500. All right, open those up with your IP address. It gives you an idea of the configuration right here. And let me cancel that. And if you're using PPTP, you need to open port 1723. All right, so that just at least shows you what the ports are so that if you're not using an Airport Extreme base station, you at least know the ports that you can open on your router to make it happen. Now what I'm going to do is show you how to connect to the server from a remote client to use VPN. So we're going to take a look at that right now. Okay, now I'm on my remote machine and I'm going to configure my VPN on this remote client. Like I said, if you did the configuration file and you emailed that to somebody, they would just double click on that file and it would do the configuration for them. But I want to show you the way to do it manually in case you want to do it that way, because that's the more complicated way of doing it. So you come into your system preferences here and you click on network. And that will bring up your network stuff with all of your Wi-Fi, Ethernet, and all those kinds of things. You'll notice I've got a couple of VPN clients on the side. Don't let that mess you up. I just got a couple of things I'm connecting to here. But what would happen is you would come down here, you click the plus button to add a connection, and you'd choose your interface. And the interface in this case would be VPN, and you would click that. And then you can see you have different VPN types to choose from. You want to stay with this one at the top here. That's L2TP because that's the most modern one. You want to make sure that that's the one you're connecting to. And then you can name your VPN whatever you want to. You can just call it VPN. You can call it some name, whatever you want to name it. It's not really too bad, but just something that you know what this is when you set it up. I'm going to cancel this since I've already got a file set up just to show you how you configure it. Now, the configuration here is the default, which is fine. You want to leave that alone. You don't need to add a configuration to it. You would type in your server address, whatever that is, you know, serverexample.com or whatever you've got as your server address there. Then you'd want to put in your account name. Now this would be the short name, okay, for the account that's going to be connecting to your VPN. So if this is your son's laptop, you know, it would be, you know, his short name that you'd put in there, not the full account name. If you put the full account name, you're going to probably have some problems. You want to use the short name here because that's what the VPN service uses. Now, let me show you the authentication settings that you would put in. You would then come in here and put in your password because you're going to use a password for authentication. That's the password that you use to get into the server, right? Your Open Directory password that user uses, okay? Not your administrative one, but the one that your user uses, you put in there. So if it's your son who's going to be connecting to it, it's your son's password that he uses to get into his accounts. Then down here, machine authentication, there's your shared secret. So you want to type your shared secret in there that we had configured over in the server settings, right? Remember when I told you about that? That it had, you know, make it a particular length, don't put in apostrophes and those kinds of things. That's what you would put in right there. Then you would click OK and you're all set and you're done. All right, and then you're ready to go. Okay, and now once you're ready to go, you've got that set up. Now it's just a simple matter of connecting to the service. You could come into System Preferences and click Connect if you wanted to, but what I do is I check this little box that says Show VPN Status in the menu bar right here, and it puts this little box in here at the top that if I click on that, I don't have to pull up System Preferences. I can just say, hey, connect to my VPN server, and it will go out then and it will connect, it will authenticate, and then it connects. See, you've got the numbers here showing how long I've connected. I've got the sent and received information here. Here's my IP address. It shows I'm connected. That means everything is good. And so now I'm getting a secure connection into my server. Then all I've got to do is I could disconnect on here if I want to, but if I don't have System Preferences up, I just come up here, click Disconnect VPN. It disconnects it, puts everything back to where it was, and now I'm ready to go. So that's an easy way to be able to connect to it. Now, the reason I'm showing you this manual way of connecting to it is because there are times when you will use Profile Manager to sort of push these these notifications out to your devices when you change them. I'm going to show you how that works when we talk about Profile Manager. Now, sometimes it doesn't push them out right away, or it doesn't seem to work, in the time that you want it to work. So I showed you how to do this manually so that you can come in, put in your connection settings, and check to see that all of this stuff works so that you know you're on the right track. Otherwise, you'll be frustrated wondering, well, maybe I did something wrong. You'll change settings again. They won't get pushed out again, and it gets to be a little bit complicated, and you think you're doing something wrong when in reality the settings just aren't getting out here in the right way. So that's why I showed it to you this way. So anyways, that's all I have for this week on VPN on Lion Server. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you like this series, please be sure to favorite this and like it so that other people can find it on the internet. And thanks again so much for watching. So that's all I have for this week. I'll come back at you next week with another screencast to help you learn how to do more things with your Mac.